Hello there, my name is James Loughrey. I'm a piano instructor at Cincinnati Music Academy, where I teach all levels, including jazz and improvisation. Today, we're going to be looking at a piece by Oscar Peterson, a famous jazz pianist from the 20th century. He's got a piece called Jazz Minuet No. 1, right here, and it's out of a book of his called Highlights, which features lots of really fun more beginning blues and jazz styled pieces for piano. So we're not just going to be playing this piece, we're going to be expanding and improvising material on this piece by adding what some call ornaments or embellishments. So this is a typical blues. This piece is 12 bars and it runs through the 3 chords that are in every blues piece: the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. And remember that in the blues, all these chords are dominant quality for the most part. So this piece is in G. It's a G blues. So let's just review those 3 chords real quick. We have 1, G7. Let's go ahead and play that. Okay, and as you play it, notice you've got the 1, the 3, the 5, and the 7. Those will come in handy in a little bit. And then we've got our C7, which is the 4 chord. 1, 3, 5, 7. And finally we have our 5 chord, which comes up 1 step to D7. 1, 3, 5, 7. Now, in this blues, Oscar Peterson is already expanding the harmony just a little bit by including 2 more chords. He gives us the 6 chord, and he gives us the 2 chord in G. Okay, so let's go ahead and play through those. Once again, they'll be dominant quality. So the 6th chord would be an E7, and the 2 is an A7. And last but not least, we get our D7 once again. Notice how the new chords that Peterson adds, the E7 to the A7 to the D7, are actually moving up by 4th. This is how dominant chords typically function. The D7 even moves up by 4th again at the end back to G7. So it's always moving in that direction. Okay, so I'm going to play the piece for you now, just as it's written, and then we'll start adding our ornaments. So here's the original. Okay, so you heard the left hand is a very typical blues pattern, going up by 5th, up to the 6th, and rotating back down. Okay, now let's just look at the right hand. The first 4 measures, we have our first chord, which is G7. But let's look at the melody here. We need to find out what these numbers are according to G. Happens to be a G triad. So let's find how we're going to add our ornaments. We're going to start ornamenting the 3rds and sometimes the 5ths of all these chords that we have in this piece. So for these first 4 measures, we don't have a lot of options, but we do have the 3rd. We can actually approach the 3rd by the preceding half step below it. So this is B, this is our 3rd. Let's go ahead and try sliding with our 2nd finger up into B from B flat. It might feel a little strange at first, but it's a little fun. What we're doing is we're basically trying to emulate how guitarists can play a note and bend it up a half step or more based on what they need. These are called blues notes. So let's go ahead and try adding that on the first chord of each measure. Okay, obviously it gets it a new blues flavor. Let's look at the measure 5, which goes to our 4 chord, which is C7. Okay, here's our melody. Okay, once again, we have a C major triad. This is perfect. We need to find the third again, which is E, and let's apply the same blues note. We're going to go 1/2 step below E to E flat, and we're going to slide up from it. Let's add it to the melody. We're going to add it to the second note of the chord, and the reason why is because a lot of times we don't want these blues notes to be in the melody itself. We want it to support the top note instead of being the top note. Okay, let's go down to measure 7. We have the exact same chord again, G7. All right, here's our melody. Okay, once again, let's find our third, which is B, and let's go ahead and add this, not on the first note, but on the second chord so that it supports our melody. Okay, and last but not least, let's get to our A7 chord next. This is our melody. Notice that all we have is the 1 and the 3. Remember what we just talked about. We don't really want to add the blues note to the top note because it's in our melody now. So for this arrangement, we're not going to be doing that here. Let's go to the next chord. Okay, we're on D7. Let's go ahead and find what your melody notes are. We've got your 5th of the chord in the bottom, and here's the 7th on top. Okay, remember we said that we can slide into 5ths as well. So we can actually take our thumb down to A flat and slide into this A, just like we have with all the others. Let's try putting that together. Okay, and our last measure is back to the main melody on G7. So here we have, okay, remember we're not going to start with the slide here, but we're going to do it on the second chord because it'll support the melody, like that. And then, what can we do with our very, very last chord? Since the melody is G, which is 1, and our supporting note is the 3rd, we can go ahead and slide up with the thumb again, from B flat to B. So that final measure will now sound like this. Notice how I just slid right from the B flat into the next note while I'm holding this top note. Okay, let's expand one more thing before we play this piece again. We're going to look at shine a light on the left hand now, okay? So we talked about this left hand as a very typical blues sort of accompaniment. Almost sounds like a cowboy song if you think about a guitarist playing this. Okay, it's quite repetitive. And it's not very melodic up to a certain point. So what we want to do is we want to expand on the left hand a little bit. There's a lot of options. Boogie styles and blues left-hand styles range from this very simple pattern to more complicated patterns like this. Okay, so for today we're just going to do a simple pattern by taking that top note, which is the 6th, and we're going to go ahead and expand it up one note to the 7th and back down to the 6th. Let's try it on C. And let's try it on D. Okay, 2 more chords. We have the E7 and the A7. Okay, so with these 2 additions to the piece, we're going to play it again, and you'll hear how different it sounds with these ornaments and these expanded materials in left hand. It'll sound just like the same piece from before, but it'll have evolved into a little bit more sophisticated and improvisatory style. Okay, here it goes. Notice at the very end, I did not just play the bass note. I went ahead and added the melody note in the left hand, the F, on top. Almost sounds like the end of Happy Birthday to You when it says, and many more. So a lot of pieces end on this seventh, especially in the blues. It gives it that authentic flavor. Okay, well, thank you for watching this video today. I hope you learned something about expanding on blues material and adding ornaments. And happy playing!